I mean, wow. Yeah, I'm definitely going to sound like one of those annoying ass show reviews that you see on like every trailer of all time now, no matter how god tier or stinky that movie actually is. But it is what it is. Let the cliches begin, because as someone who did not really have any expectations, anticipation, or really even a need or want to go see this movie, seeing how I have never read the book, I think there's a book, never seen the musical, and never seen The Wizard of Oz, pretty much making me the most new player in the lobby when it comes to this movie, these characters, and this world's source material, lore, and logic, which I definitely felt in the theater because, my god, I was not familiar with this movie's game and just how many fans came alongside for the ride. And by the time me and my mates were in that parking lot after this almost 3.5 hour movie commitment, I was genuinely shocked, blown away, and the craziest part of all, made a fan of this movie, these characters, and this world's source material, lore, and logic. Wicked Part 1 is obviously a movie that had a vision, goal, direction, and path that they wanted to see this franchise go down, and it's really beautiful to watch a team that shares that same vision translate on screen as you, the audience members, really see all of that come together in live time as you watch one of the best character-driven movies that we've seen to date. Incredibly casted to a T from my perspective as Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo as Galinda in The Wicked Witch, that finds a way to craft and immerse you into a character dynamic that we have seen hundreds of times before at this point in our entertainment consuming lives, but finds a way to balance that mean girl, misunderstood girl friendship dynamic in a way that still feels fresh and relatable. Absolutely beautifully shot with some of the most vibrant, colorful, and immersive sets that we have seen in the game this year, mixed in with some masterclass practical effects blended with CG, really showcasing the talent, craft, and financial integrity behind the camera. And that really shows throughout the entirety of this movie as you start to really bring in the grandeur and scope of what Wicked is here to present. But that's kind of what Wicked is in its heart, a presentation. And because of that, Wicked is a musical that starts with a big fat capital M from the very beginning of the movie. Not shying away, it doesn't care, and it doesn't hide from the fact of what it is. And while I can't really say that I am too surprised, especially in regards to Ariana Grande, seeing how I was there for the start of her Nickelodeon run, but in regards to her talent and career in the past half decade, yeah, that's a blank for me. But for a bloke that isn't really much of a fan of musicals, I mean, cue the Shrek meme.
Stop singing!
I was utterly shocked by how catchy and charming most, if not all, of the musical numbers were, and with that aspect of the movie going hand in hand with how perfectly the movie was casted, everything from the stage production itself, to the dancing, to just how over the top, exaggerated, and animated the movie was able to be without diving into the realm of unbelievability or just becoming a CGI shit show with incredible but otherwise uninspired musical numbers because of the lack of narrative, character writing, or world building around it, was nothing short of an inspirational run by director John Chu, and everybody that was involved from this movie, from the announcement to the eventual classic that it had set itself up to be. And while I could just continue to glaze this movie from beginning to end, seeing how you would think that this type of masterclass work would be the norm in an industry that has been around for over a century, no spoiler edition, let's go ahead and talk. Wicked Part 1 adapts the classical musical that it aspires to be, and follows the story of Elphaba and Galinda. And yes, I will be pronouncing her name as Galinda throughout the entirety of this video, it just fits the mean girl vibe that Ariana Grande was going for. After a chance meeting at Shiv University that ends with Elphaba showcasing her latent magical abilities, the two now find their lives intertwined as that sisterhood roommate dynamic, which couldn't be more different from each other, but as the two grow closer and closer, and as they start to get to know each other and who the person is behind the green skin and quirky hair flips respectively. The two find themselves on a similar journey, each with their own aspiring goals and wishes that they would want to get granted by the Wizard of Oz himself. But after a string of unfortunate events and deeper themes that I will not get into because I didn't really expect darker messages or subtle fascism to be thrown into this movie, our two sisters now find themselves at a fork in the road as unsettling revelations, unforeseen character betrayals, and the vision of the land of Oz crumbles right in front of their very eyes, leading to a split in ideologies, resolutions, and ultimately, their friendship for our two sisters, leading Elphaba down the path of taking up the mantle of the Wicked Witch of the West and setting up our characters and storyline for, I imagine, the events of the Wizard of Oz. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the glaze, for a concept of a movie that we have seen hundreds of times before, Wicked Part 1 really shines in our sisterhood component, shining with chemistry from our two main leads that really make the character bonds between Galinda and Elphaba real and genuine. So by the time the movie ends, and probably the most incredibly scored and visually engaging ending scene that I've seen since what? Dune Part 2? The sisterhood didn't feel superficial, and since I haven't mentioned it yet, I wasn't really familiar with Ariana Grande's comedic game. Her cheeky MCU one-liners and mean girl personality really resonated with her performance, and I'm not ashamed to admit that she had me and my theater actually laughing on multiple occasions. And when her and Cynthia were in their bag when it came to the singing, it's fair to say that their performances were nothing short of goosebumps inducing. But speaking of superficial, for a movie that has the runtime that is almost as long as the musical that it is taking inspiration from, it truly doesn't feel that way. And while you could mostly contribute that to how catchy and incredibly performed the musical numbers were across the board, the movie still finds a way to keep you engaged with the narrative that it's building outside of the musical aspect. And even say if hypothetically for the most cynical of audience members, and you were just forced into going to see this movie either on a date night or with your mates, the grand scale visual eye candy that this movie is able to achieve alone is worth the ticket price. And because it seems like the entire team that was involved with this movie genuinely cared about your movie experience, it really showed on the big screen the care, craft, grace, and love that was thrown into this project. What's truly shocking is that Wicked Part 1 might go down in our 2024 Hollywood filler arc as one of the most surprisingly great movies of our generation, and a movie that if they really nail this with this Part 2, yes, this is a Part 1 of a Part 2, an aspect of the movie that is not really being marketed, for good reason, I can't really hate on it, but a franchise, or I guess the best term that I could really use would be sister films, that could go down in pop culture and Hollywood history as a true, genuine, all-time classic. A true masterclass when it comes to all aspects of what the audience truly looks for when it comes to the word cinema, and a movie that could go down as one of the most competently made, incredibly casted, beautifully shot, and shockingly great movies of the year. At least shocking for some, and a movie that some of the audience, including myself, could be considered as one of, if not the most expensive passion project of all. Hold up, wait. Let me see the budget for this really quick. No way this is less expensive than the ACA. And it is. Okay, scratch that. And a movie that some of the audience, including myself, could be considered as one of, if not the most expensive, successful passion projects of all time. So in our 2024 Hollywood filler arc, Wicked Part 1 is obviously cinema, and a franchise that shockingly has made a new fan out of me, and I can't imagine that I am the only one. See you in Part 2. Of course, as always, I want to thank you guys for watching the video, and if you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. I'll leave a link to my Twitter and Letterboxd in the description just in case you want to check that out. Again, I want to thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you did enjoy, why not click on more while you're at it? Otherwise, that is all the words I got for you today.